Hello, flamingos, and welcome to Disrupting Obesity. I'm Charlotte Skanes, and I lost over 200 pounds without surgery, without fads, and without hating myself through the process. I'm here to help you unlearn what the diet industry has been feeding you and to talk about what it actually takes to lose weight and keep it off. I want to help you make real mindset shifts and start to build trust with yourself again, all while giving you the tools that you'll need to do it, but without losing yourself or your mind in the process. It might be Monday, but we're not starting over. So brace yourself, Gladys, and let's get into it. Nine years ago this month, right around now, I made a promise. I didn't make a bargain for my life, but I did make a promise. Now, we're coming off my longest series ever, and I'm immensely proud of it. The response to those 101 weight loss truth series, it's been really, really overwhelming. And I'm so happy that it's resonating with you guys and that you're finding it helpful. I'm going to make sure that I've got that list available to anybody who wants it for free. I'll have that coming very, very soon. But I really wasn't sure what I was going to do after the series. It was only supposed to be, one, maybe two episodes, but it somehow turned into 18. And I just wasn't sure how or what I was going to talk about next. Now, normally when that happens, I let you guys take over and I do an Ask Whatever episode. But we've had a bit of a shift there, and those episodes aren't going to be coming out on Mondays anymore because we've got Weight Loss Wednesdays now. Last week, I put out our first ever Weight Loss Wednesday episode, and there's going to be one of those every single week, including this one, for as long as you guys keep sending in the questions. If you want me to answer your question, you can send it in a whole bunch of different ways. You can email it to me. There's a link on my website, disruptingobesity.com. You can send me a DM on Instagram or comment on a post on YouTube. You can send me a voice memo and I'll use it on the podcast. You've got choices, and you can totally stay anonymous too. So my go-to solution for whenever I'm not sure what my topic should be is gone. I took away my own safety net. It might not have been my smartest move long term, but you guys send in a lot of questions and you've asked me to do more of those episodes. The truth is simply that I'm finally in a place where I have the bandwidth to do that. And there are a lot more surprises on the way, especially over on YouTube. I'm insanely excited about everything that I've got coming up for the rest of this year. But all of it is only possible because I made a promise. And yeah, it's the whole almost dying thing. But it was that experience coupled with losing 200 pounds that gave me the perspective and the insight to be able to do what I've done since it all happened. I can't describe what it feels like to go from that hospital bed with everything, every single thing stripped from me, to having you listening from 124 countries, to having my own private social media platform, a cookbook of all things, a 250,000 followers, 2 workbooks, and thousands of women who I've helped learn how to change their own lives. But it all started with that promise. The promise that I would make my second chance worth something and that I would find a way to be helpful. So here I am. And I am so far away from that woman who was lying in a hospital bed in downtown Toronto, full of tubes, unable to move. But I can still see through her eyes. And I remember the conversation I had with myself when I decided to do something. I had no clue what that something would be, but I had to do it. I was just over halfway, the halfway point in my 5-month hospital stay. I still had 2 and a bit months to go. I was still in a special unit in the hospital, so I was nowhere near out of the woods at all. But a couple of things happened, or I guess one connected thing, I had this moment right after the darkest period of my illness, that 7 weeks or so that my brain won't let me remember, where I thought to myself that people die when they just accept it and let go. And then I passed out. And I forgot that I had that little conversation with myself until a bit later. And it might have been a few days, it might have been a couple of weeks. But I remembered telling myself that people died when they let go. And then I passed out. And I told myself that if I was going to die, it would have been that night. But since it wasn't, I wasn't going to. But you really have to understand that at no point prior to or in between those 2 points, I didn't think about dying. I just didn't. I wasn't saying goodbye to people and, settling my affairs. That's why there was no bargaining for my life. I didn't realize that's what I should have been doing. I was way too sick to realize how sick I was. I mean, I was 37 years old. This doesn't happen. I don't know anybody. At that point, I knew nobody who'd gone down the way that I did, just having their whole life completely swept away. When I was in the hospital, I knew that it was weird for someone my age to be in there for so long. I went from being labeled and treated as a geriatric pregnant woman by, my whole healthcare team, to being treated like I was practically a baby myself, concretely and abstractly. I mean, literally, I couldn't do anything for myself, just like a baby. And they treated me like I was very young. And they talked about it. That's why I can talk about this so confidently. I had seasoned nurses tell me that they've never had someone so young on the floor for that long. I've talked about this moment before, the promise that I made when I was sick. And it's not that it somehow carried me through the being sick, like holding out for this moment in the future where I could be helpful. No. What carried me through was the nurses and the doctors and my physio team and my psych team and, the orderlies and the housekeeping staff and the dozens and dozens of people who fought every single day to keep me here when I couldn't do even the most basic things for myself. The promise didn't carry me through surviving. Making the promise carried me through keeping the promise. It kept me going after I got home and I had to find a way to, pull all of this off. I don't think I would have been able to do any of this if I hadn't made that promise, because it's driven every move that I've made since. So what did I promise if I didn't bargain for my life? It wasn't a this for that, and if I live through this, I'll try to help people. No, it was because I'm going to live, I have to do something to help people. And in that moment, I was fully aware that I had zero clue what I was going to do or how I was going to do it. I've been asked a few times if this is a survivor's guilt thing. And I really don't think so. It's a purpose thing for me. I don't feel like I should be dead or like I deserve it. I guess is maybe a better way to put that, because, by all rights, I should be dead. It was that close of a call. My understanding of survivor's guilt is that there's a feeling that you don't deserve to be alive. So maybe it is survivor's guilt, because for me, this is all about making my second chance at life worth it. I could talk for the next 3 days about what the people in that hospital did to keep me alive, and I wouldn't even come close to covering it. There's no repaying that. There's no thank you that's ever going to be big enough. Like, it's not possible. I can't quantify what it's like to have every single thing stripped from you and then to have your life handed back to you. All I'm going to have is action. And action was the only part that I had figured out right from go. On that September day 9 years ago, I knew absolutely that I was going to have to do something. That was the only path to making it all worth it. Because something else that I knew was I was never going to figure out why this happened to me. I could crawl into a hole playing, why me all day long, but there isn't an answer. And it doesn't matter if there is, so long as I make it all worth something. So I got home from 5 months in hell, and I had a couple of years to go before things started to look like our new normal. I had a surgery that I needed to get strong enough to survive. I still had abdominal drains, multiple PICC lines, and a full-time dependence on insulin. I still had a lot of weight to lose. Once I got all of that out of the way, and I had a minute for a bit there where I thought that I was, my way to help was going to be something a little bit different from what I'm doing now. But then I asked myself, like, what am I good at? Right? If I was going to help people, and I'm self-aware enough now, and I was then, to know just how abstract and fluff floating in the wind of a concept that is. Like, what does help people mean? What does that look like? I had to narrow it down at least just a little bit, which is super funny given what comes next. But still, I knew I was good at losing weight, really good at it, actually. And, I just lost a bunch of weight again, which, if you're new here, here's the scoop in less than a minute. I used to weigh 338 pounds. I'm 5'2.5". I lost 201 pounds in just under 2.5 years with a calorie deficit and intermittent fasting. I kept it off for about 7 years. Some deeply, deeply painful life shit happened, and I chose food. I gained back at least 115 pounds. The reason I'm not entirely sure is that I got catastrophically ill when I was 32 weeks pregnant with our third son. That kicked off the 5 months in hell that I've been talking about. Necrotizing pancreatitis, a life flight, crash C-section, lost the ability to walk, sit, or even lift my arms to brush my hair, 13 blood transfusions, Ogilvy syndrome. It's a big list. And that pretty much brings us back to trying to figure out what doing something was going to look like. So I'd lost more than 100 pounds twice. And I thought that was significant. Not so much because I lost the weight. I mean, it is kind of a pretty big deal. But I thought it mattered because when I looked around, I didn't see anything in the weight loss industry that would have helped me when I was losing my weight. Nothing. I saw a lot of fitness accounts and a lot of bariatric accounts, but I didn't see a whole lot of people who were trying to help women who felt like I did. Sorry. When I weighed 338 or 242 pounds. And this isn't about beef with the bariatric community because I don't have any. There is no easy way to lose weight, period. And any influencer who's claiming that weight loss surgery is the easy way out is completely full of shit. And they have no idea what they're talking about. I know that this is touchy ground. But if you've been here for a while, or if you follow me on social media, you'll know how much respect I have for anyone who loses their weight with the surgeries. So if you're tempted to fire off an angry email, please go listen to what I have to say on this before you jump down my throat. It's impossible to dive all the way into this today because there's just so much other stuff that I want to talk about. But if you're a member of the bariatric community and you're listening, please know that I am completely on your side. This is just like the way that if you're talking about like how much you love football, it isn't fair for me to assume that you're the leader of some baseball hating cabal. It also isn't fair for you to assume that just because I talk about losing weight naturally, I think there's something wrong with losing your weight with surgery, because I don't. Weight loss is hard no matter how you do it. And I knew this whole issue was going to be a thing when I started down the road, of keeping my big promise there. And that's probably why it sounds like I'm on the offensive with this one. You're right. I am. I've been fending off misguided and misinformed attacks with this one for years, pretty much since the very, very beginning. I decided that I was going to try and be the person that I needed when I was 200 pounds overweight. I was so scared. I felt so alone. I was just as afraid of the idea of surgery as I was of killing myself with food, which was exactly what I was doing. And once I decided that that was what I wanted to do, that I wanted to be the person that I needed when I was going through it, that's when I figured it out. That's when I figured out the nature of my promise, the way that I was going to make my second chance at life worth it. I decided to change the conversation about weight loss and create a safe space for women to lose their weight. We're 120 episodes deep. I'm making some ripples. I still believe that the conversation can change. The toxic diet industry is so huge. And I want to be very clear that by toxic diet industry, I just don't mean, some little sliver of it. Like I'm just picking on the snake oil salesman. Oh, no. I mean almost all of it. From the people on social media telling you that they're going to teach you how to lose 60 pounds in 60 days, all the way through to big pharma. Pretty much everything. Unless what they're selling or teaching involves a very active and conscious calorie deficit and the deeper work to change your relationship with food so you don't gain it back. I mean them. Those are the people I mean, and unless those two things are going on, because they're non-negotiable. And there are coaches out there who are doing that, who are doing both of those things. It has never been my intention to dismantle the diet industry, which is more than 99% completely toxic. I never believed that I was going to be able to take it down or dismantle it in some way. That hasn't been my goal. But that is where the creating a safe space part of all of this whole promise comes into play. And in some ways, this podcast helps to create the space. So does my Instagram. So does the YouTube channel. And at the beginning, I thought that was what it was going to look like, that I would find a way to reach people through conventional social media. I thought it was going to be toxic. It is. What I totally underestimated, though, I didn't realize how the toxicity was going to be a barrier to helping. I thought that so long as I could deal with it, like if I kept a thick skin and just kept going, and that's pretty easy for me to do. I almost died. So the bar is pretty high. Like, is it worse than the whole 5 months, on the edge of death thing? Is it worse than relearning how to walk or sit? No. Oh, okay. I guess I can deal with it then. And I really thought that would be enough. Because I couldn't see the ways that it was going to be a barrier for you. And I do now. I totally get it. If the roles were reversed, I wouldn't comment on your posts either. I wouldn't engage with it at all. I know the algorithms on social media are set up to show the content I engage with to the people on my friends list and the people who follow me. If I still weighed 338 pounds, I wouldn't want the people in my life to see me engaging with weight loss content either. So that's the first thing, privacy. And it's kind of a pretty big deal. Here's the second thing, and I'm not sure which one of them is a bigger reason, but they both make all the sense in the world. I wouldn't comment because I don't want to contend with Gladys. I deal with Gladys because I have to. She's a super valuable vehicle to me. When I reply to a Gladys, most of the time, I'm not responding to her. I don't give a shit. I'm replying for all the people who are going to click on her nastiness to see what I said. And that makes it very easy for me to stay kind and to just try and be neutral too, so I don't egg her on. But if I was you, I wouldn't invite that into my life either. I get called fat and ugly. People scream at me in all caps all the time. Things like, you're spreading cancer. I'm told I'm too fat to do this. I'm too thin and out of touch to do this. I don't smile enough. My smile looks fake. I'm too old. I'm too young. I can't win for losing. But I knew most of that was coming. I knew the pornographic DMs and the propositions were coming, the trolling, the baiting. It's a price that I'm fine with paying. On balance, all that shit is nothing. But on the other side of that coin are the majority of the messages I get where someone says, thank you, or tells me that I give them hope, or even just sends me a question. I love all of those messages, and they help me deal with the toll that all of the other ones take, the Gladyses and the trolls and all the garbage. Those are all just like, it's like they're drops of black ink, right, into a cup of water. But you guys keep it all diluted because you're adding clear water of your own, so the black stops mattering. Like it's intense at first, but it just dissipates. From my perspective, there's another big problem with social media. Privacy is obviously the big one for you, and it should be. For me, there's the additional issue that it can all be taken away in an instant. And I'm in a very divisive space that's already being heavily scrutinized by the bots. Facebook or Instagram can shut me down at any moment just because they feel like it or because of a glitch. It happens all the time. Facebook groups with hundreds of thousands of paying members have disappeared overnight. It's every creator's worst nightmare. If someone's going to pay me for access to something, it's super important to me that I actually control the thing that they're paying me to access. And social media is already a nightmare from my perspective, but it's a problem that I could solve. I'm not going to go into the whys and the nitty gritties of any of this because unless you're a social media manager or a content creator, it's super boring. But as a social media user, you might have noticed things on your feed have changed a fair bit recently. I post 3 to 4 times a day. And I know, because I hear from you guys all the time, that most of you who follow me on social media are sitting there right now going, really? I only see 1 or 2 posts from you a week. Yeah, I know. That's what those changes I was just mentioning are all about. You might be wondering, why wouldn't social media show me content from the people I followed since I've clearly indicated that that's the content that I want to see? And that would be a very good question. But that's not the way social media works anymore. So I came up with a workaround. Having my own platform makes it really easy. And I keep using that word platform because I didn't build a website. Well, I did. I have one of those too. That's disruptingobesity.com. But I also have a private social media platform just for women and just for weight loss. There's a feed just like on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform, anything that's out there. But instead of being littered with ads for the stuff that you wish the algorithms didn't know you were thinking about, and a bunch of questionable AI generated posts and news. That can't happen because there are no algorithms and there are no ads on my platform. So instead of all of that, it's the same type of post that I put on my social media, plus a whole bunch of stuff that I can't or won't put on regular social media. And it's posts from the other women like you. There are different spaces for different topics, the same kind of memes and recipes that you'd see on Facebook, but mixed in with non-scale victories, the daily accountability posts, weekly watch parties for past podcast episodes where we pull them apart and talk about whatever the episode brings up for you. But it's a lot more than just a feed. You can direct message with me or with other members. There's Miss Flamingo. She's a mini me that I program to search all of my content and give you an answer immediately with video references so that you can just go watch the extended answer because it's all there. The platform, my Flamingo Forum, gives you access to all of my content, the podcast episodes, the recipe videos, everything. And it's searchable. So you can find what you need in a hurry, and it's all transcribed because most of us can read way faster than we can listen. And I sincerely wouldn't blame you for being sick of the sound of my voice. The cool thing about my mini me is that unlike conventional AI that's getting its information from the internet, Miss Flamingo only gets her information from the platform. So she's never going to tell you to, go get a gym membership or give up carbs. Losing weight was hard for me because it felt so overwhelming. It felt really heavy, especially when I had tried so many things and I didn't know what to do anymore. I want to cut through the overwhelm for you as much as possible. So I've laid out 4 different pathways for the 4 stages of weight loss. I want to meet you where you are so that you can move forward. And this is going to maybe sound strange, but I can't help it. And I know it's not the sort of thing that I'm supposed to say, but I'm going to because meeting you where you are is kind of my whole jam. I know that not everybody's a joiner. And I know that there can be a lot of pressure in things like this to participate. Yeah, I don't do that. The forum is a mix of flamingos who are there for the daily accountability and the live chats and the connection and the time with me and who aren't really interested in the resources that I put out. And we have flamingos who are there for the content and the replays and don't want to interact with the feed or the community or any of the stuff involving other people. I get it. And it's cool. That's why the forum is the way it is. I've built it for both kinds. It might not seem like it because of this whole putting myself on the internet thing, but I'm intensely private. I don't talk about my day-to-day life. I don't talk about my family or my friends, and I don't talk about my flamingos because I understand what it means to actually respect someone's privacy. Being online and doing what I do only makes me respect it more. The other thing is anonymity, right? I'm big on that too. I think it's important that people can ask questions anonymously. So anyone can just send me the question and I'll post on their behalf because some things are private, like dealing with chafing or boob sweat or sex. Not everybody wants their name attached to questions like that. And I get it. Safety was right in my little 2-pronged promise. Change the conversation about weight loss and create a safe space for women to do it. It's hard to trust if you don't feel safe. A huge part of changing your relationship with food is learning to trust yourself again. And I can't teach you that if you don't feel safe. When I had to walk away from one-on-one coaching, I felt a little lost. My favorite part of what I do isn't sitting here talking to myself. It's when I get to talk to you. The forum has given that back to me. This month, I started going live 4 times a week so that I can answer questions and help the women in the forum to stay on track and keep going and do the hard work of changing their relationships with food. Yes, I love hacking recipes. Yes, I am excited about the new podcast and the YouTube series that launched this month. And yeah, I have a lot of fun on Instagram. But my all-time absolute favorite thing that I do are the chats in the forum. It's the connection and the community. It's just so wonderful. From my perspective, the best part is getting to watch the flamingos make the connections and clock the wins and just drop the weight. It feels like a privilege to be part of because it is. And I'm 100% aware of how arrogant this is about to sound, but I'm going to say it anyway. This is why I'm here, the helping. And I can't stop because I know I'm being helpful and, I made that promise. I'm super grateful. I am so happy to still be alive that every single thing feels like a gift. But the other side of that is the pressure. It's a lot to carry to feel like I have to try as hard as I can all the time. The time that I spend responding to your messages and emails and the time I spend on the forum each day, that carries me through that. And I'm really proud of what I've built. It's exciting to be building a real community, to get to watch the wins happening in real time. I already feel lucky and grateful to get to be here at all. So getting to do this feels like a real privilege, and I love every minute of it. Come check it out. You don't have to commit yourself to anything more than a month. So why not see what happens? Thank you for listening, and thank you for doing the work. This isn't easy, but you're still here, and that counts. It matters. You're showing up. If you've subscribed, shared, or left a review, thank you. It really does help more than you know, and it also makes it easier for other women to find this podcast so they feel a little less alone on their journey. If you want more support, resources, or info on the program or the membership, check out disruptingobesity.com or come see what I'm up to over on Instagram. You know where to find me. Come tell me how I can be helpful. And in the meantime, keep trying, keep tracking, don't be intimidated, and don't give up. You've totally got this.